Welcome to Rhino, a channel dedicated to project-based learning. I'm glad you're here. In this tutorial, we will learn how to add a front-end interface to an existing Go Fiber REST API to create a full-stack application. To follow along, you will need to have Docker installed and running. You will also need to have the source code for the REST API we built in the previous video. If you did not happen to watch the first tutorial, you could consider watching that first. Alternatively, you can use the finished code from the first video as a starting point. You can find links to the GitHub code repository in the description for this video. Let's get the existing app up and running. We've downloaded the source code from the first part of this series and we can rename the repo. Then we can open the project in VS Code. Within the integrated terminal, let's try to access the containers bash with the following command. Since we downloaded the source code from GitHub, we've run into an error. This error has been caused by a missing .env file. To fix the error, we can head to the instructions for the first tutorial and follow the steps to create the .env file and set up our database credentials. With our environment variables correctly pasted in our file, we can now successfully access the containers shell. Let's prepare our app to handle templates. Within our web services container, we can install the HTML template engine package from Go Fiber. Then we can head into our main.go file and import the package. We will use the html.new method to initialize a new HTML template engine and store it within a variable called engine. Then we will pass in some configuration options to our app initialization code, telling it to use our newly created template engine. Our app is now ready for some front-end views. Let's create the index view. The first thing we will do is create a views directory to organize our template files. And within this views directory, we will create our index.html template file. Our index.html file is currently empty, but we will come back to it. Now we will head into our handlers package and modify our list facts handler. Instead of rendering JSON data, we want to render a template. We will pass down a title and subtitle as our data. Now we can head back into our index.html template and use the Go template syntax to render our data within paragraph tags. We don't need to be inside our web service container for this next bit, so we can exit the container and start our Go Fiber app in the host machine by running the docker compose up command. The printout in the terminal indicates that our Go Fiber app is currently running. If we head into the browser now, we can see our index template is being rendered correctly. Let's create a global layout for our shared markup. We can leave the browser for now and head back into our code editor. Inside our main.go file, we will update the app initialization code to include another setting for the views layout property. This property will point to a main layout file that does not exist yet. If we check our app in the browser, we will see an error telling us that we are missing a layout file. We can easily fix this error by making sure this file exists. We can head back into VS Code and create a layouts directory to organize our layout files. Then we can create a main.html file within it to act as our global layout. This global layout will be the base for all our individual HTML templates. Within the main.html file, we will generate the basic HTML boilerplate structure. We can add a title and a div to act as our main wrapper. Inside the body of the wrapper div, we can use an h1 tag to render our title and an h2 tag to render our subtitle. Then we can use the embed keyword to output the content that comes from each individual page. If we head into our browser and refresh, we will see double titles and subtitles. We have one set coming from the index.html file and another set coming from the main global layout. We can remove the title and subtitle from the index.html file and add some temporary content. Now when we refresh, we can see the unique content coming from the index page, and we still get our title and subtitle from the main global layout. Now let's see how we can list all our facts on the index page. We can head into the handlers package and update the list facts handler to include another property called facts. Then we will pass down the facts variable that contains all the facts found in our database. We can head into our index template, which now has access to the facts property. We will range over each fact and render its question and answer values within paragraph tags. But what if we don't have any facts saved in our database? In that case, we can do some conditional rendering. Let's temporarily cut away the range block we just added. Then we can set up an if-else block to check the presence of facts. If facts are available, we can range over them. We can paste back our range block inside the if tag. But when there are no facts present, we can let the user know and then display a link to encourage them to add some new facts. We've cleared the database so there are no facts available. Our index view currently looks like this in the browser. Let's create a form that can be used to post new facts to the database. In our views directory, let's create a file called new.html. Before we add to it, let's first head into our routes package and create a new route that we can use to display our new page. This route is using the new fact view handler that does not exist yet. We can head into our handlers package to create it. Just like every other handler, this new fact view handler will take the Go Fiber context as its only argument. Then it will return an error. Within the body of the handler, we will use the render method to render the new template. The data for this template will include its own title and subtitle. We can head into our browser and navigate to the /fact route to see our new template. Now let's head back into VS Code so we can start working on our form. In the new.html file, we can create a form. The ID will be new form. It will use the post method and the action will point to the /fact route. Then we will create a label for the question field. Within the label tag, we will have an input with the ID of question. It will be a text input and have the name of question. Next, we will create a label for the answer field. Within the label tag, it will have an input with the ID of answer. The type will be of text and it will have the name of answer. Finally, we will also need to create a submit button. We can already start submitting data to our form in the browser. However, when we do submit a new fact, the UX is a little awkward because it redirects us to the JSON response. We can fix this by creating some kind of success or confirmation page. Let's redirect to a confirmation page after a successful form submission. First, let's create a confirmation.html template within the views directory. There isn't much happening in this file. We will just add a div that contains a link which will take us to the new fact form. Now we can head into the handlers package and create a new handler for our confirmation view. Within the body of the handler, we will use the render method to render the confirmation template. The data for this template will include its own title and subtitle. Then we can use our confirmation view handler within our create fact handler. After a fact is created, we will redirect to the confirmation template. Now we can test this out in the browser. If we submit a new fact, we will be taken to a confirmation page instead of a JSON response. And just to prove that this is working, we can visit the index page where we can see all our facts being listed. Let's learn about partials so we can make our code even more reusable. In our integrated terminal, we can create a directory to organize all our partials. And within it, we can create a header.html file. In this file, we will define a new partial called header. We will render this partial on every page of our app. The header will contain a logo image and a link that will take us to the new fact page. Now we can head into our main layout and use our new header partial. If we test this out in the browser, we can see our header, but the logo image is missing. Our app does not know how to handle images yet. We will take care of that in the next section. Let's learn how to handle images, CSS, and JavaScript within our app. The first thing we will do is tell our app where to find our static assets. We have chosen to use a folder called public to hold all our static assets because it is somewhat of a convention. But you can call this folder anything you like. Our public folder does not exist yet, so we can create it now. Then within the public folder, we can create an image folder to organize our images. Now we can head into our public image folder and paste in our logo image. If we head into the browser and refresh, we can see our logo image is now present. Now let's head back into our code editor and start the process of handling CSS. We can create a new directory within our public folder to organize our style sheets. Then we can create a main.css file within this style folder. If we open up our main.css file, we can see it is currently empty. We will come back to it later. For now, we can head into our main layout file and link our style sheet within the head. We will include a version query param as a rudimentary way to bust the cache. While we're here, let's also add the viewport meta tag so our app is responsive for mobile devices and smaller screens. Let's go back to our style sheet. CSS is out of scope for this tutorial, so we will not be writing any styles from scratch. Instead, we will head to the repo for this project and grab some ready-made styles. Then we will go back to our main.css file in the editor and paste them in. We now have all these new classes, but our markup needs to be updated in order to use them. Again, this is not the main point of this tutorial, so we will update our markup in a time lapse. Now that the necessary updates have been made to the markup, let's take a look at our app in the browser. Oops, we have an extra quotation mark character near our logo. Let's head back into VS Code and remove it from the header partial. Now if we go back and refresh the browser, the quotation mark should be gone. Now it is time to start adding some JavaScript to our app. We can create a new directory within our public folder to organize our JavaScript files. Then we can create an app.js file within this JavaScript folder. If we open up our app.js file, we can see it is currently empty. We will come back to it later. For now, we can head into our index.html template and use a script tag to import our JavaScript file at the bottom. JavaScript is out of scope for this tutorial, so we will not be writing any from scratch. Instead, we will head to the repo for this project and grab some ready-made JavaScript code. Then we will go back to our app.js file in the editor and paste it in. This code is pretty simple. We just want to hide and show the answers when we click on the toggle buttons. Before we wrap things up, let's use our completed front end to submit one more fact. Now we can see that Russia has 11 time zones. And there you have it. In this tutorial, we learned how to add a front end to our GoFiber app using the HTML template engine. We added images, CSS, and JavaScript assets. A text version of this tutorial can be found on divrhino.com, and a repo can be found on my GitHub account. I'll leave both links in the description for this video. If you enjoyed working on this project, please let me know in a comment, or like the video and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching and keep coding.